Crazy Faith Baby in the building. Today's topic: what are you guys doing with what God has given you? Right? What are we actually doing with what God has already blessed us with? Right? You see, God has blessed us so much with our resources that we have, right? That you have access to, right? And we gotta honestly ask ourselves, what are we honestly doing with the resources, right? Some of these resources could potentially change your life, whether it's trading, whether it's a business opportunity, whether it's a gift, right? And he gives us these talents, he gives us these gifts so we can multiply it, right? But if you're not taking action because of fear, right? If you're not taking action because of fear, how are you going to see what's on the other side of the talent that he gave you, right? We all have talents and gifts that he has already entrusted us with, but you have to take action and see what those gifts are, right? We got to go within, right? We got to go deep within and find out what is our gifts, what is our talents, right? And bring it out of us, right? And if God hasn't revealed that to you, then maybe you gotta switch up some things in your life that you're doing that's not in alignment with God, right? The moment you start switching some certain things up and you start to get in alignment with God, then He's actually able to reveal the things that He already has placed inside of you. But if you're not being obedient, if you're not listening to Him, if you're doing things out of His will and you're not alignment with Him, then you miss out. And that's your own fault, right? But we all have gifts, we all have talents that He already has placed within us, right? We have treasures in a hidden vessel, right? You are a treasure in a hidden vessel, right? You have treasures within your vessel, right? And once you start to understand this and you start to realize what it is that he's already entrusted you with, now you get to bring that to the world, right? Now you get to multiply what he has already given you, right? You get to multiply that gift, right? And this is such a blessing because once you find what it is, now you begin to live with purpose. Now you begin to live outside of the norm, right? Now you have something to live for, right? And it's nothing wrong working in a 9 to 5, but we were called for more than a 9 to 5, right? We was called for more than that. And the one thing that holds us back is fear, right? And what other people think, and the fear of it not working in your favor. But I rather live with the idea that I took action even though it didn't work, rather than to live in the regret and think about I didn't move because of fear, or I didn't move because of what was gonna happen on the other side of it. So I would sleep peacefully and knowing that I tried all that I could try to move ahead, to move me further. At least I gave it a shot. At least I poured my last into it, versus living in the regret of not taking the action, right? And that's going to be one thing we all will have to encounter once we make it at the end of the life. If God blesses us to live that long, we will always have to live with that either regret or success at the end of life, to know that, okay, we did all that we could, all right, cool, and we made it. Or we didn't do what we needed to do, and because of the fear of us failing, the fear of what other people thought, don't be that person, right? It's better to take action and fight your mindset on you gonna make it, versus not letting the enemy kill you with fear, right? Not letting the enemy take hold of your mind and not allowing you to push forward. Because we all have to face that battle. We all have to face that fear mentality, right? And it's either you're gonna take life by the throat, or life will take you by the throat, right? You either take life by the throat, or life will take you by the throat, right? It's one or the other. It's one or the other, right? Either you take control, or life will take control for you, right? And God is an abundant God. God is not fearful. God is abundant, right? So what's really holding you back from the talent that He gave you? Don't let the enemy trick you out of the spot. Don't let the enemy put fear in your mind, because God is not a fearful God. God made you fearfully and wonderfully made, right? God made you fearfully and wonderfully made, right? He didn't put fear in you, right? He's abundant, right? So we have to all walk in alignment with what God say we are, right? You were made to prosper. You were made to build that business. You were made to be a millionaire. You were made to be a billionaire, right? You were made to be that. So what's honestly holding you back? Is it fear? Is it what other people think? You know, we have to ask ourselves what it is that's holding us back from taking that leap of faith. Right? And I know for me, what was holding me back was fear, right? I'm gonna be honest. Like, there was one point in my life that fear was holding me back, right? And I had to sit back and analyze what is going on in my mind, because the problem always starts in our mind. The problem always starts in our mind. Right? The problem will always start in your mind, and then it will come into your reality, right? So the one thing that was holding me back was fear. The other thing was being impatient, right? I had to make sure I grabbed those two things by the throat, fear and being impatient. I had to grab it by the throat, because I know if I don't grab it by the throat, it will grab me by the throat. Right? And that's the same thing with you. If you don't grab fear by the throat, it will grab you by the throat. If you don't grab your being impatient by the throat, it will grab you by the throat. Right? You have the power. You're in control of your life. God is able to remove these things out of our lives once we surrender it over to Him also too. We don't want to just, do things in our own power, but ask God to help us with the areas that we struggle in. Being fearful, right? Being impatient. We all have a weakness that we need to work on to strengthen us to get to the other side and be all that God has created us to be, right? You were made abundant. You were made for more. You were not made average. You were not made mediocre. God didn't make a mediocre person. He didn't make an average person, right? We are all God's highest form of creation. We are all God's highest form of creation. So why are we playing small? Why are we not stepping out into the deep? Right? Why are we not grabbing life by the throat? Right? Why? Why are we letting outside circumstances affect our eternal peace? Right? We gotta take control. With that being said, it's your boy Crazy Fifth God on the way out. Nothing but love. Let's